Hey everybody, it's Joshua Seth, voice of Tai on Digimon, giving a shout out to everybody at BAM Collectibles. Looks like you're going to be doing an unboxing of Tai and Agumon's Digivolutions. Well, that's cool. Hope you enjoy the statue showcase today. So thanks for being Digimon fans and for watching BAM Collectibles. Joshua, Tai, Agumon, and all the Digi Destined signing out.
Thank you so much, Joshua. If there's one thing we don't do enough of on this channel, it's unbox Digimon statues, and boy, do we have an incredible statue to unbox today. Almost 1 year ago, I unboxed the Gabumon Digivolution statue with my buddy Oliver, and so be sure to check that one out afterwards. This is made by Great Designer GD Studio, and sweet goodness, do they live up to their name of being a great design. So one of the things that they pride themselves on is creating incredible dioramas that accent all the Digimon and characters you'll see in their statues. As you probably noticed, the Crest of Courage is on the front with that orange trim, and then on the bottom we'll see the studio's name and the edition size there on that right side. We can see only 268 made in the world, so not a lot to go around. On many parts of the statue, you will see holes, and those holes are where the Digimon will key into later, and also sprinkled all throughout is going to be this greenery. Now, it kind of feels like what you would use for inside of a fish tank. It's not resin, but just kind of PVC little plastic pieces. But I'm great that they did that because they'd be super fragile if they were made of resin. And then we have a very large notch up here, obviously for one of Agumon's larger forms. Looking up, we will see that it's almost like they sculpted a miniature volcano on top. We can see a little bit of red paint was added on there, but really cool and awesome diorama for the statue. To kick off Agumon's Digivolution line, we have this egg here, and then it cracks open to release none other than Botamon, and then it's really cool how it fits together. So again, it has that nice cracks to where you can fit it together seamlessly, but we'll open this up and take a look at him. For what he is, a black little pudgy ball with some nub for ears. They did a great job on this. So they have some texturing that goes throughout that sculpts it. And then we also have a little bit of white paint to bring out some details and those cute little yellow eyes. This is the only form that's included that doesn't have a specific place where it to go. So I'm just going to rest it over here and balance certain pieces into place. Everything else will key into a specific location. Next up is Koromon, and man, did they do a great job with this. So the ear pieces were sculpted separately, put into there, and I just love the smile that they put on him, right? The teeth make it look a little bit less cute than it should, but it's incredible how they did that. On the bottom there, that's the notch that will allow him to key into the hole that's on there. But taking a close look at his eyes, they did an incredible job bringing him to life. With Koromon into place, we'll go ahead and digivolve to Agumon. Now come on y'all, how incredible does this look? On the bottom of his foot, we'll see a notch that allows him to attach to the base just like Koromon, and then we'll see on the back is also that little nub of a tail. His claws look fantastic, and then I say this, I'm probably gonna say this every single freaking one. The number one thing that makes these have so much life is these laser cut paint sticker eyes that they put on there. Just is amazing. Inside of the mouth there is obviously colored accordingly. We've got a little bit of teeth in there, but Agumon, well done. What's cool is everything is actually coming together to create a somewhat playful scene. Here we have Tai, which again, flawless in its execution there. We have a metal rod that's going to be on the bottom of him for two reasons. I'll probably go over it a little bit later why that metal rod is in there instead of a notch like everything else. But taking a closer look at his outfit, great shading, great sculpting, a little bit of movement going on there with the wrinkles you can see. In his hand, we'll see the classic monocular that he used in the original show. I think he uses binoculars in the newer one that they came out with. And then on his forehead, we'll notice those goggles, cool little glare effects that they painted on there. And spinning it around, we'll take a look at his hair. Sculpting was great. Paint job is even greater. Before we install Tai onto the statue, we need to remove Koromon to be sure he doesn't hit one of the ears. And so we'll take him off and get Tai into place. And what's cool is this is actually one of two places that Tai will be able to be installed on the statue. So you're going to have different options in ways that you can display it as we go along. Like I said, a bit of a playful scene was created here. I know it's not extremely realistic to the show, right? Because Agumon obviously changed forms as he went along, but it's an amazing representation of all these initial forms on here. Now, before we jump into something else, I do have something special I wanted to do in this video. As a bit of a bonus, I want to open up 2 packs from the Digimon card game. I recently opened up a booster box, and what happened is you only get 1 alternative art in the whole box, and I had yet to pull it yet, and I have 2 packs left, so I wanted to open it up on camera to see what kind of alternative art I can pull. The best alternative art you can pull is probably going to be Omnimon's version. And then next up for me, I guess if I had two runner-ups, I'd probably go MetalGreymon and MetalGarurumon would be incredible pulls to get during these. Now, because Omnimon is in this pack here, I'll probably... Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to open this one up second because just in case it's in there, it'd be fitting if it did pull it from the actual pack with Omnimon on there. Kicking it off, we have a Gabumon. Awesome looking art card there. Gravity Crush, Volcanic Dramon, Okuwamon, then we have Kaporimon, Agumon Expert, fitting to get an Agumon card, Goblinmon, High Andromon, Metal Edamon, Tentamon, Sora, and then we have, no way, we got the alternative art for freaking WarGreymon. This is so perfect. Oh my God. For this actual statue unboxing. Oh, well, I thought it was hopefully going to be in the next pack, but hey, my goodness, the fact that it's one of the top 3 that I was looking for, huge win. I'm actually planning to send out a few cards to get professionally graded, and I will most certainly be lumping him into that lot so we can get him officially in some nice hard plastic and given a graded number. Man, I'm super happy that I decided to save these packs. It's so fitting for the opening here. We have a Sukemon, then we have a Pagumon, Muchomon, Atomic Ray, Kabuterimon, Florizamon, Leomon, Saber Leomon, Tinkermon, Radiation Blade, Puppetmon, and another Sora. I will say this, one of the things I use to protect my cards is right here. It's a magnetic acrylic hard case. I'm going to pop this out real quick so we can get our MetalGreymon inside of this card. This is exactly what I do kind of before I send it to grading. If I want to display a card with my statues, I'll be sure to stick it inside of that form-fitting thinner sleeve and then inside of this magnetic case here, and it pops in there. If you're ever looking to pick these up, I have a BAM Amazon or a BAMazon store, links in the description. You could check out all the different card supplies that I use for my personal collection, but looks great. I tell you what, Digimon actual cards look amazing. And so sorry for that little break. We'll go ahead and jump back into the unboxing. We have none other than this incredibly huge Greymon. One of my favorite things that I get to do as an unboxer is witness 2D characters that we know and love in television shows brought into the 3D world, and we get to actually hold them. There's that large notch on the bottom where he's going to connect to the base, and then we have the bluish scar marks that are sculpted all throughout, and they look incredible. The paint job that they do is immaculate. They really don't ever take a lazy route on things, and everything is perfectly clean looking, just like the show. I remember seeing a PVC collectible by Mega House of Tai and Greymon, and I thought, man, it can't get any better than this, but didn't it, right? Look at GD's version of this, and then we'll notice on the top there, his horns are missing. They were sculpted separately. The eye, of course, looks incredible. We even have like the fleshier tone around the eyeball as well that would be underneath that skull. I didn't mention it, but you probably noticed as well, the arms are sculpted separately, which we'll go ahead and take a look at shortly. I hope you can understand how large this is with my hands holding it. If he's larger, imagine some other forms coming up next. So here is that hand there. We'll see the notch, and there's a magnet on the side that will allow it to attach to the rest of the body. Here is the other one as well. And for those who are newer to statues and maybe seeing one of these for the first time, the reason why they sculpt certain parts separately is because shipping it as one giant unit altogether would be problematic. Things could potentially break, so sculpt it separately with some magnets and the way that it kind of slots in there, and it's really no problem. Everything comes together looking perfectly fine, and it's safer for the end buyer to make sure they don't have any damage. Before we get him installed to the actual base, we'll go ahead and install each individual part so you can see how this comes together. Again, the seam lines that should be there from sculpting things separately, it just disappears with the way that they engineered the actual design of everything. Really important to notate, there is a hole in this shoulder, and I bet you're wondering why. Maybe you've already figured out by now, but there's something else that's going to be able to mount on top of there that we'll take a look at shortly. Let me just lift up the shrubbery. Oh, oops, dropped the piece there. And we cannot forget to install the horn. Earlier, I had mentioned that there's 2 places that Tai can sit on this statue, and I think this is such a great addition by Great Design Studio to be able to give you the options to put this where you want to. Rotating the statue to the side will take off Greymon's arm here. And then, as expected, we'll take that metal rod on his foot and mount him to the arm here. And extremely cool when we get him on to see how it looks. He's just mounted and perched up on top of Greymon, just like we saw him many times in the show. Already without Metal or WarGreymon, we can see how amazingly balanced this statue looks. Now, how would you display Tai in this statue? Let me know in the comments below. Would you have him on top of Greymon's shoulders, or would you keep him down below? As expected, next up is MetalGreymon, which again, the horns and arms were sculpted separately. Well, I guess I'm going to say arm on this one then. He's got that giant mech arm coming in. We have that notch with the metal rod on the bottom there. Very similar paint job and application as Greymon, of course, because most of his body pretty much resembles that of Greymon. Typically, we have that metal piece that's showing in the back of the tail there. One of the main differences is we'll see those two notches in the back there where the wings will go later. The front metallic chest piece where he launches the missiles looks awesome as well. They do such a great job at keeping the organic feel of, Agumon and Greymon, but also implementing the metallic pieces in this evolution. And then his face also is great. The eye we'll take a look at real close up. And I love that for this specific sculpt, they decided to have his mouth open there. It looks a lot more fierce, and it kind of slowly builds up the epicness of the different evolution forms that Agumon turns into. One thing I wish they did do is maybe sculpt a secondary chest piece where you can have the Giga Destroyer where it's coming out of there. A neat thing, but it's okay that it didn't include it. Here's the regular arm that we'll have there, and let's move on to that giant secondary mecha arm here. This bad boy is extremely heavy, and it's also very pointy. Those little claws at the end there are extremely sharp. I should have grabbed a piece of paper and sliced through it so I could show you how sharp they are. But the different details that they sculpted on here look amazing. And of course, the paint job has just a little bit of shading in certain areas that give it just more than a standard silver paint job. We have that clear resin piece up at the top there. Just all around 100% accurate to the show. They didn't really miss anything. And that's what I love about GD, is they bring forth such a passionate sculpting for each character and all the details that are involved in them. Went ahead and skipped those horns because we've already seen Greymon's version of those, but I will show off this front horn piece that has the metallic look to it. So again, it's similar to that of the arm, but looks great and magnetizes onto the front. Here are the wings, and again, how great of a job they did, not only in the sculpting of it, but just the paint job is so accurate feeling. Likely for stability purposes, the steel rod you see at the bottom probably runs up through the center of this, and then make sure that over time nothing does bend or warp, that it keeps a nice straight frame to it. And here are both of them side by side, so you can see it. I always love the tattered and torn look of the actual wings. I always like to ask, but let me know in the comments what your favorite Digidestined kid was. Which one did you connect most to growing up? Now buckle up your seatbelts, because if you thought we saw some cool stuff, man, we are about to dive headfirst into this. WarGreymon turned out so incredibly well. Again, the way that they execute the paint job on all the details of the outfit and the overall design of the Digimon, it just blows my mind here. So we'll notice that these side flat parts are actually missing. They sculpted those separately, as well as the crest of courage that usually goes on the back side there. And of course, his head and arms. We'll slowly get to building everything together. I will say I love the gold shade of paint that they decided to go with here for those more armored pieces there. You'll see how it reflects off the light. Towards the center there, you'll also see all the notches where those pieces will go into. Then we have these metal rods sticking up. Very important, because the arms are going to be holding something very heavy, so they do need to be strong and secure. Here are those side flaps or armor pieces that they did sculpt separately. Again, just thin little metal rods with the notches that slide right into place. And then we have the back giant crest of courage looking piece that goes on there. Now you'll notice here on this left piece, there's something blue that's on there. That's actually called blue tack. So when something fits in to another piece and it doesn't sit perfectly flush and it might wobble or shake a little bit, I'll put some of that on there to secure it and make sure it does not slide around. But wow, don't they look awesome? Here is the cherry on the icing of the cake with WarGreymon's head sculpt. Now, they did include those horns pre-sculpted on there. Because it's smaller in size, they were able to ship that without a problem. But great sculpting all around, great paint job, and it just looks amazing how they always bring these to life so well. And with everything together, here's how it looks. Really dynamic looking. This is the most dynamic looking Digimon form on the statue. I know we're still missing the hands, but I want to go ahead and get him installed onto the statue first before we dive into those, because there's a little bit more details to go over on those than expected. The first hand and claw weapon is exactly as expected, so we have the fist curled up inside there that's grabbing those. Again, just like MetalGreymon's, those are pretty sharp. You could easily slice through something as simple as a sheet of paper if needed. But this next one that's going to be coming up is extremely complicated because it has the giant Terraforce, look at it, it looks amazing. We have the clear red resin that goes in there, and then we have a hole that's in the back, a little metal hole, and we'll go over how this works. So there's a USB port and a charger, and the charger port gets plugged into there, and then actually, because you saw how I turned it on right there, and so that's where it charges it if you need to. And what happens is if you touch this metal piece, it goes 3 different modes. One's more red, yellow, and then a red-yellow mixture there. But incredible looking how this lights up, the LEDs on it. So again, it's not battery powered. It's also not electric powered. It's just, well, I guess it's battery powered, but it's a rechargeable battery that does bring that to life. It looks dynamic and awesome, but the one thing I'll say is it does make the statue stand really tall. I kind of wish he had it off to the side. The original concept design actually had him showing it off to the side, but we'll dim the lights and show you how this looks in the dark. Usually I like my statues to be powered by electricity because it allows me to plug it into my power strips and turn everything on, but I guess they didn't even have to add LEDs, so the fact that they did this alone is an incredible gesture. What I am most impressed with at this statue is the fact that every single form kind of has a spotlight or a moment where you can see and appreciate each one of them. It's just a great balance all around, and I love great designs, statue executions. We'll go ahead and slip the WarGreymon card in there. And for those that are interested in seeing more Digimon statues, next in the line for GD is going to be Agummon's Digivolution line. I can't wait to showcase that one in the near future. Thank you so much for joining me on this video today. Hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see more content. And as always, everybody, do what you love and love what you do. Bam out.